And I think that we are live. We'll just share the link on the Telegram, and then we can start. Thomas Skinner will not be joining us today.
He's not on vacation. It's a holiday in Argentina. All right.
I want to share the link, but I'm not seeing the live in YouTube. Okay, there it is. I'm gonna share it on the Telegram. Oh, lots of messages.
Love the brick background. We need to start doing animations and stuff. We need one of those fancy streamer, like, hey, hold on, starting stream animations. All right. I think we can go. Martin, do you want to start?
Sure. There hasn't been too much progress on my side. I'm also working on the roadmap still, but yeah, I saw like a lot of good progress on your side. So I'm gonna check that work today, and yeah, maybe we can discuss further. I also discussed with Fede, and he had some different vision about some of the parts of the roadmap. So yeah, I think we're making progress, and yeah, we should have it fairly soon. We should at some point also see if we want to present tomorrow. I think we should present tomorrow, right? So what do we do about that? That's it for me.
Awesome. Yeah, we should definitely present tomorrow. I will send a Discord message for the APF as soon as I can, and we should start doing the presentation today. We don't need the full Gantt, but we can have like at least an outline of the roadmap. And I think that with that we can have a project proposal, even if it's not the final planning roadmap. We can still go with that, as it will definitely be modified in the following weeks, even if we release it this week. Paul, do you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. So I followed your advice. I put some animated background. Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist, yeah.
So I've been mostly focusing as per the last days on the engine API and making some research on understanding better the consensus clients and specs. So I've discussed with different mentors, and I've tried to make a small recap on the Lambda consensus group to share a little bit of the insights that I discovered during this weekend and the last week. And then I'm continuing to read the Benedictine book and making research on the side on on different topics related to consensus algorithms and consensus clients implementations. So mostly that, and it's getting slowly clearer and clearer for the final implementation of the engine API. So it's pretty cool. So I'll slowly continue working towards that during the next days and potential next days.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, I think this will probably be discussed the following days, but I think that probably one of the next API wrappers to go for the engine API would probably be block parallelization, which is something we were talking about a couple of minutes ago before the meeting. Mostly because, like, probably receiving blocks is one of the first things that we will be able to have from the networking side. So being able to validate the execution payloads, which is something that's done over the engine API, will probably be the first priority we'll have. So like you can still do some research, but it might be good to focus on that specific call and where it is used and that kind of stuff, because like we might continue talking after the daily, but it's probably the next endpoint that we will be implementing for the API wrappers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we discussed it a little bit before. I definitely agree with that. Um, there's two things. So yeah, this endpoint that is used all the time, because each time you receive a new payload, you basically run it to send the execution payload that you. So you get like a how do you call it, a consensus payload. And this consensus, as we seen just before, it has a lot of metadata. And inside the consensus payload, now you have the execution payload. And so each time you receive that, you make a call to the execution client, which is engine new payload. And now the version that we use is version 2. And so I'll definitely be focusing on implementing that next. Um, and yeah, basically the response that you get from new payload is if the block is valid or not. So yeah, I'll be focusing on that next. But it also takes a lot of um, research, because you need to understand what you're implementing. Because as I've talked about during the last few days or the last weeks, it's it, it's difficult to just take the specs and fully implement the thing without context. It's difficult or even impossible, I believe, because uh, you lack too much context to be able to write code. Um, so, so yeah.
Yeah, specs are hard to go through, definitely. One of the output of this project will definitely be a working node, but at some point we probably would like to have as a different output, readable introduction to nodes, to building nodes. Like specs are ideal to go to when you have doubts, but they're not ideal to start working on this. So we will have something at some point. and it will be a priority once we have stuff working. So yeah, fully agree with you. And yeah, anything else, Paul?
No, no, nothing else. I'll continue, and I'll start focusing on implementing, as you said, that the new payload v2. Then, if you believe that it's aligned with the roadmap.
That is awesome. Thank you very much. And as for me, I've mostly been working on the roadmap, and most specifically on having a release plan. This will be released. Not sure how, like on what day of this week, but we already have something that to be released. I divided. I was greatly helped by Martin and his work on the feature list, and what I did was basically divide everything in milestones that can be worked on with different different areas of work in parallel. And the idea is that each milestone has something that's already working and that adds some value to the previous one. Ideally, we will be presenting this also in the EPF presentation tomorrow. I think that it's one of the important parts of the project proposal. So yeah, I don't know if the project proposal is what you present on the presentation, because you need to have like a PowerPoint presentation for that. So like the proposal needs to be there this week, but we can have like a PowerPoint presentation for tomorrow, and we can like just have the proposal at some point this week. If that's something that we need to have for tomorrow, which I will check in a couple of minutes, then we will have it for tomorrow. But yeah, I'm excited to have this happening, because it was one of the blockers, like having some planning. And after that, I will be focusing on starting the tickets. And like after we publish everything this week, I will start building a whole bunch of tickets so that we can start getting collaborations from the outside world. One of the only tickets that we marked as first good ticket, we already had collaborations for that. So I see that there are a lot of people that are excited to work with us in this project. I'm always excited to see that. So I hope that once we start getting actual tickets for people to work on, we will start getting collaborations. I'm excited for that. Yeah, I don't have anything else for me. So does anyone want to has any questions or comments to before finalizing the meeting?
No. That's it.
Awesome, that's perfect. If that's the case, then we can finish the daily for today. Thank you all for joining and see you all tomorrow.